Hello and welcome to the Grand Vision Africa YouTube channel. My name is Lee Molete, also known as the South African Engineer, and it is an honor and a privilege for me to be your host on today's show. At Grand Vision Africa, we are on a mission to transform Africa into a world-class continent through the industries of infrastructure, technology, science, and design. We seek to explore the stories of brilliant, innovative, and determined individuals that are shaping the future of our continent on a daily basis. So thank you for joining us as we redefine the narrative of African excellence. For today's show, I have the honor and privilege of welcoming a brilliant built environment professional by the name of Mr. Awelani Mudau, who is a qualified quantity surveyor at the Pretoria-based NWS Quantity Surveyors, which was founded in January 1982. The firm prides itself on being at the forefront of commercial surveying in Southern Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Awelani is a gentleman that I've known for about a year or two, and I've looked forward to interviewing him because of all the amazing infrastructure projects that he has been exposed to. We look forward to learning from him, a lot from him today. Thank you very much. Sir.
No. Thank you.
How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm good. Thank you. What a interesting introduction. But yeah, thank you so much.
No, all good, man. So the first question that I'd love to ask you today is, can you tell us a bit about who Awelani Mudau is and why do you do what you do on a daily basis?
Sure. Where do I start? So, Awelani Mudau is a guy who grew up in Venda, a small village called Elim, out close to Loistrichat, up north. I did my matric in 2014. Started first year 2015. I did my first year in quantity surveying, obviously. That's how I got involved in the industry. I've been working in the construction industry since 2018. Part-time, doing my honors. But I can say I've officially worked full-time in 2020. And my CV is very long actually, or not long enough, but interesting. That's who I am. I'm also currently a candidate quantity surveyor, not yet qualified. Just want to rephrase and don't want any pushbacks from the but
you know it is.
Yes. So that's who I am.
Okay. No, thank you very much for that. Can you tell us more about why did you actually decide to study quantity surveying? What sparked the interest?
Honestly speaking, quantity surveying didn't pop up in my mind on a first go, as I said, I was studying my matric. I wasn't really exposed to much, so a friend of mine who was actually studying in Mukopane, there was a UP outreach at her school, and she then told me about this career or this course, and I was interested. I spoke to my brother. One of my brothers is actually a metallurgical engineer, so he knew what quantity surveying was. So when I explained it to him, he was like, "No, that's actually a good course, and if you want to do it, go ahead." And so I had literally applied to mining engineering and quantity surveying everywhere that I did apply, and fortunate enough, I got into UP and started doing quantity surveying. So to go back to your question, a friend of mine told me about quantity surveying. I went in not knowing what it is. But yeah, I've grown to like it. I've grown to enjoy it. Yeah.
That just shows the beauty of like having the right people around you,
Yes,
and
yes.
having people that are exposed to the various industries, and it just shows how
Mm,
important that is.
mm,
So then you went to UP.
yeah.
I heard UP is quite a difficult university to get into and to actually stay there. So it must mean that you're a very smart person, man.
You can, if you call a few subs and coming back to rewrite on a December, if you call that smart. But yeah, we survived. I feel I can't take all the credit.
Yeah.
I had a good support system.
Mm.
Yeah, like family was very supportive. The lecturers were also very supportive. And yeah, that's how I survived UP. Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Can you perhaps tell us how a few words about how you got through UP, like besides obviously the difficulty, what are some of the tips that you can actually give aspiring um, quantity surveyors that would
Mm.
obviously love to join the industry one day? What tips
Mm.
can you actually give them to be able to get through university?
So I'm gonna everything that I'll share right now will be based mostly on UP and my experience there, but I think it will be relevant to anyone else at their specific university. So quantity surveying, I think you really need to attend your classes. Like, there's this course, I don't know, but it should be common in every varsity, quantities.
Mm.
Um, yeah, like the first year you're learning about a strip footing, you're learning about reinforcing, you're learning about excavation. Like if you grew up in a disadvantaged or uh, not so construction related family background, then those things are like confusing
Mm.
to you because in
Mm.
like
Mm.
quantity surveyors you excavate 600 by 400 foot strip footings and yeah, so you're thinking what the hell is that? So but 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 yeah, like so attending your classes and asking questions in class, and have an eye for people who know the course. If you
Yeah.
coming in, if you're coming in without like
Yeah.
enough exposure, have an eye for people who know the course and
Mm.
associate with yourself with them. So yeah.
Yeah. A lot of there's a lot of misunderstandings or misconceptions as far as what quantity surveying actually is, right?
Mm, mm,
Um, because in our industry, we'll do a lot of the quantities. Like my first ever year when I got into the industry, I had to learn quantities. That's all. Quantities, 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 quantities.
yeah.
Just calculate shapes. This is how you calculate a slab. You obviously went into more like depth.
Yeah.
It's actually what I want to ask you. Like, what is um, quantity surveying, and what is your role on a project? That obviously differs from the other built environment professionals, like your
Mm,
civil engineer, like I said, your surveyor, your
mm.
contractor, and your architects. What role do you guys play in the whole spectrum of the project?
So, um, before I get to that, so quantity surveying belongs to a council called the South African Council of Quantity Surveyors. That's where everyone needs to register. Um, and you start off as a candidate, you proceed, depending on what course you did, BTech or BSc, then there's certain routes that you proceed to becoming a professional. So how I would break down quantity surveying. So as a quantity surveyor, you aim, or as a client quantity surveyor, because there's also two types of quantity surveyors. There's quantity surveyors who are for the contractor, and there's quantity surveyors who are consultants who work for the client. So, so, so
Sure.
as a quantity surveyor for the client, your main objective is to make sure that the project runs within budget, based on the budget that the client has, or we have proposed to the client that this is the budget, this is how much the works will cost, and we need to keep that project within that budget. So,
Okay.
and on the contractor's hand, contractor needs to claim everything accordingly. Like, every small little detail. As a contractor, you want to make sure that you can get as much out of this project. You need to make sure that if, again, I go back to my strip footing. If the strip footing on the drawing is 600 and there's a change, I need to know that of that change, so that, because it's additional concrete that we're gonna put in the ground, and what's built on site is different, and so that's where myself as the client's QS and the contractor's QS will have meetings on a monthly basis, which we call valuation days, where the
Okay.
contractor will send their claim, and I will value that claim, and yeah, we need to agree. And yes, most people would say quantity surveyors are the accountants of
I
the
was about to say,
construction, of
yeah.
the construction industry. So yeah, we work a lot with figures, and I would say the other key skill that as a quantity surveyor needs to have is a keen for small details. So keen eye for small details. So yeah, you need to spot things very quickly. Mostly with Excel. Excel can screw up your whole career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In what capacity? Because you also mentioned the two types of quantity surveyors, for the contractor and for the client,
Mm.
in the form of a consultant. Which side have you actually been exposed to the most?
I work as a PQS office, so I'm on the client side of quantity surveying, but I have friends who are on the contracting side of things. So we now and then speak, and I get the in and outs of how they face things there.
Yeah.
They sometimes say that I'm lucky because I'm not in the sun as much as they are. And yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I know. Thank you for that insight. So I want to move on to the firm that you actually work for.
Mm.
Um, it's NWS, Novell Wenzel Steinberg. Did I say it
Uh,
properly?
Novel Vincel Steinberg. Novel
Wenzel.
Vincel Steinberg. I
Wenzel.
think it's
Yeah.
Dutch. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
Dutch.
It's like Dutch Afrikaans.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Um, anyway, so can you tell us more about the firm that you work for? Um, Perhaps give us more information about what type of projects do you specialize in, and also what do you like most about um, working for
Mm.
NWS Quantity Surveyors?
Um, so yeah, so the company, as you had already stated, it's a very old company. I think it's close to, if not more than 30 years. Yeah. Um, so we specialize in retail development and office. So yeah, when I started last year, June, because I just recently joined the company, um, I was thrown into the deep in a way, which I didn't get much exposure in, actually. I was always guided and in the previous but I joined a team where you need to run, like, and which kind of motivated me to also grow in uh, in my career because I was more exposed to other professions. Because you get QSs or candidates who just sit in the office and measure and never like interact with other professions on site meetings or actually engage um, in the process of the project. So
Okay.
I got to be part. So when I started in June, I was
Mm-hmm.
given a project, like a fresh project. I was the not I wouldn't say lead QS, but I was working right under my director. So
Okay.
so technically, I ended up going to all these meetings. I had to do all the valuations. I had to do all of this stuff. So the project entailed building three new drive-throughs. It was a Chicken Licker and Steers and a Burger King in Woodlands. It's small, but it's big, you know. So yeah, so that's how I joined the company. I was thrown right into the deep, and I'm grateful for my in-office measuring, you know, like preparing a BOQ because I
Okay.
had to prepare a BOQ within a month, or not even a month. I think like 2 weeks I had to prepare a BOQ and go out on tender for those three drive-throughs. And my experience from the measuring, I was able to like sort that out quick. And yeah, we had a contractor on site by July, and yeah, the project ended in December last year.
Okay. Yeah, I actually saw your status updates where you were sharing about I think it
Yes.
was the chicken licking, I think.
Yeah, the steel on the chicken. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm particularly like um, interested in projects in the private sector because the private sector projects they're a different ball game because you are dealing directly with a private client that doesn't want any mistakes, that doesn't
Mm,
want any money being wasted. Unlike
mm,
government, I feel like a lot of professionals get away with a lot because it's government and
yeah,
oversight is not the best.
yeah.
Can you perhaps tell us a little bit more about um, what are the pressures? I don't know if you've
Mm,
done any government work, but I'd like to know what's the experience. How's the pressure? Like,
mm,
what experiences have you actually had in relation to like your work,
mm,
specifically for clients like obviously the developers that are doing
mm.
your drive-throughs for your chicken lickers and steers, like you mentioned.
So I'm not gonna mention which department, but
Right.
a specific department approached us to come. They have their own QSs, of course, but they approached a PQS office to come and value and prepare bills and all of those stuff on
Mm,
their behalf, um, which for me just shows that like there is a bit of a lack in terms of government because I mean
mm,
you hire a QS and the QS sends out the work to a third
yeah.
party,
Mm, mm,
but coming back to private sector, um,
mm.
so we have this thing called cost reporting.
Okay.
So after you do your certificate and send out your payment schedule to the client to make payment, you would have
Mm,
a cost report meeting with the client
okay.
where where we review
Mm,
what has happened and where we stand. Do we have a
mm,
saving? Do we have an extra on the project? So there's on a monthly basis that kind of checkup with the developer and the QS. So
okay.
you by the time the project ends, we already know how much this project is gonna be, or we
Mm,
already know, oh, we have so much money left that we can give back to the client. So I think there's that checkup with private sector as compared to the public sector. I have a friend who works in on government jobs and stuff, and like we compare what we do on a day not a daily, but when we see each other. And yeah, you will just explain that like the stuff that I'm doing, like cost reporting, that like the budget is the budget, and that's it. And it's mostly 10 key projects, which 10 key, I think there's a risk in 10 key projects because, yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah.
You are the judge and executioner. You are your own boss. Yeah, hey, that's crazy. I'm a keen scholar of the built environment. Like I love the built environment. I'm very passionate about it. So I've always had like an interest in understanding how the industry works in general, right? And one of the things that I've always been interested in understanding is obviously the procurement aspect of the industry itself. What similarities or what differences does private have as opposed to public?
I think it works similar. I think it is similar. It's just that there's less, what can I say? There's less red tape, or if on the private side, you know, like I don't know if that is the right word to use actually, but I think there is a bit of less red tape in terms of, because public, you what do you call it? When you go to tender, you have a public reading of the tender, you understand, and all of those things. So with private sector, the client can decide that I don't want any of these results revealed, or I don't know, you know, and then because normally we would say the lowest tender gets the job, but it's not always the case. Like sometimes the lowest tender doesn't get the job because he might not have the capacity, you know, or he doesn't have the expertise for the project. So so we end up therefore we end up not releasing the results, just not to have people ask questions. But yeah, and again, I would say the BEE thing is actually a big play to this in the public sector, and not so much in the private sector yet, unless the client is a registered JSC, and they have to maintain their own BEE, then you need BEE compliant with all of the subcontractors, main contractor, the professional team, and all of those things. So those are, but yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. There's a bit of a less red tape on the private side.
Okay, yeah. You know, I'm very interested in some of the nuances that relate to our industry, because there's a lot that especially young professionals are very interested in learning. There's a lot of information, valuable information that professionals have, but there's never a platform outside of attending, you know, your
conferences and
yes, and then that's the place where you can network and perhaps ask questions. But particularly that's why I was very eager to develop this particular platform to give platform to especially young professionals, so that we can share ideas, share information, share experiences, share advices on how to move forward, to learn more about how the industry works. So it's particularly why this platform actually exists. So far, I'm very happy about our conversation, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm not. It sounds like I'm closing, but I'm far from that. I still want to ask some more. So another question that I have, in terms of projects that you have done, what are the notable projects that you've been part of, and why did they actually make such an impact in your life, and what did you learn from them?
So as I said, when I started at the current company, let me go back a little bit. I don't want to mention companies, but
Right.
my previous employer,
I understand.
those who want to find out about my life will go to my LinkedIn and all of that.
Yeah, it's
But
fine. It's fine.
but yeah, my previous employer was more on industrial or warehouses. So I worked on a couple of warehouse projects, and but then I was only assisting. But I was fortunate enough to assist in one of the biggest warehouse project situated in Kempton Park, close to the airport, the Pick and Pay Inland Distribution Center. Is it? Yeah, Pick and Pay, yeah. And yeah, that played a big role, and to see how everything ties in. Like there was, yeah, like every little cent, if you multiply the squares, if you are out for tiles, if you're out by like 10 squares, it makes a big difference because like the area is so big. And yeah, so here where I am now, as I said, I did that drive-through project, and that was my first run project. Like that played a big role in my life. It wasn't too complicated, but it just had a big significance that I ran this project from inception to final account to completion.
Okay.
So yeah, and the current project that I'm still working on now is the Pan Africa shopping center in Alex, uh, on the other side of Sandton.
Mm,
But
mm,
yeah, like we're doing an extension, or we've done an extension to the existing mall there, and it's like 2 floors. So
mm,
we introducing new shops that you wouldn't, new tenant shops, or which you wouldn't actually find in an area situated as such as Alex. Like
mm,
yeah, like great brands, and all of that. So the most significant part for that project, I would say, is the complexity of it.
mm,
As I
mm,
said, our company deals with mostly retail, shopping center, and all of that.
mm, mm, mm,
So there's so much that goes into a shopping center. There's
mm.
there's you with the developer and you with the tenant. So it's like a mini project within the overall project, because each tenant
Yeah,
has their own little specific
yeah.
requirements. So
Mm,
as a quantity surveyor, you're watching the books for the developer all the way down to like a tenant. And
yeah.
yeah, so there's if I go into detail for that, yeah, would be here the whole day.
One particular question that I actually have is, how do you manage so many subcontractors? Because there's a subcontractor for tiling,
Mm,
subcontractor for painting, electricity, plumbing. I like your civil projects. Our civil projects,
yeah,
like one or two guys. It's chill.
yeah.
I can imagine,
No,
and you have to do all those books and those accounts.
yes, yeah. Like so the one I'm working on, I think there's like 22 subcontractors. So, so,
Oh,
so yeah, it can be crazy month end wise. It's like I'm doing a whole audit, and doing certificates.
yeah,
But it also helps during tender when you're going out on tender for all of this that you measure as accurate as possible. Uh, if you have enough detail at tender stage, then
mhm,
your tiling subcontract or your ceiling sub won't be an issue. Like at the end of the day, you put in a bit of fat in whatever you measure, and
yeah,
you know what is fat and what is actual. So if
yes,
the so if the subcontractor submits a claim and they're like 200 squares above your fat even,
mm,
like
mm,
everything, then
yeah,
it's either they are lying or
yeah,
I'm undermeasured. So
yeah,
that's the only time we actually manage, we are able to manage such incidences or such large numbers of subcontracts.
yeah,
So yeah, it
yeah.
can be tricky. It can be tricky, and again, to be a QS, you need to pay attention to the small details.
Yeah. I wanted to go further into your experience with the community, because obviously you live in a very, not you live, you work in a very, I can say, interesting place when
Mm.
it comes to the project that you're
Yes.
busy with in Alexandra. So
Mm.
there's obviously a lot of community interferences. I don't know if it's something that you are experiencing. If there is, please share what have you experienced so far? Because I think it's something that a lot of people that are working in, especially the township areas with civil
Mm.
projects, are experiencing. So maybe you
Mm.
can share some information about that.
No, definitely. Like with community work, at the end of the day, uh, the client needs to prove that whatever project that they're doing in the community is to benefit the community. But there will be a few people who want to actually profit out of it, you know. So yeah, we had a situation where the project had to be stopped, and there was like a lot of grievances with the community, trying to iron things out. But yeah, so our contractor was very much aware of the community situation. So they had a, how do you call, CLO, community
Mm,
liaise officer or something like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's people from the community hired
Mm,
on the project by or paid by, yeah, and
mm, mm, mm.
so they communicate with the community. They keep maintain the peace. But I mean, at the end of the day, this comes with a cost to the project. So it's something that you need to budget as well. That you are
Mm,
gonna have additional security, additional
mm,
uh, staff. Who,
mm.
yeah, just talking to community members. But
Yeah.
the project I can say was successful. Like
Mm, mm,
we thank the CLOs that were appointed who managed all the risks that happened. But yeah, it is a very concerning thing in the country in general as well,
yeah.
as we see in the news, how
Mm,
construction mafia is like taking over important
yeah.
projects for communities. So,
Mm,
yeah.
mm, yeah. Yeah. No, I think thanks for sharing that. I know the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, in collaboration with the South African Police and various other stakeholders, are actually doing something about it. So
Mm,
um, it's a sad day when construction projects cannot move forward because of such things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I believe we are led. But I want to check also, what is your how can I say it, your perspective about the construction industry in general in South Africa?
No, guys, I think our nation can be big, like in terms of construction, like we have potential, we have skills in this country. Like we have people who like are going overseas, with all
Yeah.
the potential skills.
Mm,
So I really think there's still so much that we can develop. And I
mm,
see the vision of our president building a
mm.
smart city, building,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
think he also sees the potential that we have. It's just there's
yes.
there's just so much poverty that
Mm,
it poverty and corruption that douses
yeah,
out all the potential that the country can actually do. Because investors need confidence that their stuff will be
yeah,
protected.
yeah.
Like I'm not gonna build a mansion or build a shop and I know it's gonna be looted in 2 years.
Mm,
Um, like some of the infrastructure, unfortunately, it's sad to say, but it was built in the unhappy times post
yeah,
94, and
yeah,
we're still using those infrastructures now.
yeah,
But
yes,
like we need to like build stuff. There's still so much to build. Joburg is in a crisis with water. Um, like
mm,
in general, Cape Town, Gauteng, like uh, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential in green energy. There's a lot of potential. Like construction in general in South Africa can be big. Like I'm so optimistic. I know things will
mm,
be fine. I mean,
mm.
yes, it's 30 years, but yes, we still have another 30 to see what we can change.
Yeah, yeah. No, um, I'm always, I'm always, I'm always happy to hear, especially young people, be positive about, uh, especially the built environment, infrastructure
Mm,
development, and the growth across the board of our country, because
mm,
obviously the situation is quite bleak, but we don't have a choice but to actually still believe and still be positive, because we have only one South Africa. We can't go anywhere else. Where are
yeah,
we gonna go?
true. Yeah.
Yeah? So uh, I love hearing young people become positive, because which leads me to my next question. Because I have a number of associates and like colleagues and
Mm,
friends that have like left the country, and they have applied for jobs in other countries. Some of them
mm,
work for companies that have international offices. So many of
mm,
them took transfers to Australia, Ireland,
mm,
many places for better opportunities because of how the
mm.
situation is in our country. So um, can you perhaps speak to that? Can you share your perspective about that, about skills immigration? Can you just share your thoughts about that?
You know, I have good and bad, but I think I'll start off with the good. The good part is that though skills are leaving, there's young professionals still rising. Like somewhere, somehow, jobs are created with our scarcity of job creation or unemployment being so high. Like it opens up a little bit of a door for someone to find a job who hasn't left. When a
Mm,
person leaves, someone is hired. I think that's a little good, but I think as a company, speaking on a company's side of things, is that you don't want to train someone for so long, and they have become an asset now, and
mm,
this person now leaves the company and goes overseas. Like the
mm,
company has lost, the country has lost. Um,
mm,
like you just stuck in this loop of you are teaching, they leave, teaching, they leave, teaching, they leave. So
mm,
So yeah, like it's sad to see. It's sad to see because other nations, if you look at Zimbabwe, people are leaving that country for better opportunities, and we can see the state it's in, you know.
Yeah,
It just
yeah, that's
shows that if professions keep leaving, at some point we won't have any professions.
mm,
And
mm,
yeah, we don't want to see ourselves in that state as South
mm,
Africa.
mm,
So I'll try my best to encourage the guys who are still around to
mm.
to stay, to hold on. I mean, yes, our rand is not it's not the best, you know. Some people wanna earn in pounds and dollars and all of
Yeah,
that, and you know. So yeah, I mean, we still have everything here. We have great beaches. We have
yeah,
great safaris. We have everything, you know. So you stay in a tourist attraction place.
mm,
So yeah, stick
yes.
around and yeah,
No, we have a great country, man,
yeah,
and we need more patriotic people to raise their voice and to advocate for a better country. And
mm,
that's also part of why this platform exists, to hopefully convince young people that are still coming in to go into the built environment and to build the country. And for those that are around to see that there are people that are actually still positive,
yeah,
like
yes.
yourself. So it's a good
Thanks,
thing,
man.
man. It's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So the the next question that I have is, what advice would you give someone like an aspiring um, built environment professional, or people that would love to become a quantity surveyor one day? What advice can you actually give them?
Mm, sure. What can I say? I think stay in school. Stay in school. Um, like no course is easy. If to put it that way. Like yeah, like put in the hours, you will be rewarded. Um, I mean, I think of myself back in varsity, you know, uh, I didn't expect to be where I am now, but it's okay. It's actually nice, you know.
Mm,
So
mm,
there is some people say no, there isn't money, there isn't like it's there. If you work hard, it's there, and
mm,
I can say the built environment it's one of those career options that you can start something of your own, you know,
yes,
like
yes.
I mean, as a QS, once I register as a PR, I could start a company and work,
Yes.
but
Mm,
that also,
mm.
you know, it brings other challenges, you know, like there's too
Yes,
much.
of course.
I would say there's
Mm,
too much QSs already. There's too many officers, which affect the quality and other
mm.
things. But that's a story for another. But yeah,
Yeah.
but if you join the built environment, you have physical skills that you can
Mm,
use on a daily base. You know, you can. So yeah, it's an interesting field to be in. Like the built environment is a rewarding environment. So yeah.
mm. Okay. No, I thank you very much. I have one last question. That's obviously if you have nothing else to add. One question that I have: what is the long-term goal or long-term vision for you and for your career? What career aspirations do you have in obviously your work?
So yeah. So I'm currently working towards PR, as I said. So I think that's something that is my biggest drive right now to become a professional in what I do. And yeah, I think long-term wise, I one day want to be a director, or like be a decision maker, be someone who drives the ship, and yeah, so have a great network of people, to start things, to see my friends doing big things as well. So yeah, I think that's just to add on, like just to go back to your previous question about the built environment, like that's where you start networking with everyone. You network with town planners, you network with real estate
Professionals or
professions, or
agents.
you have engineers, so when you start your own thing, you sorted. Like we literally, we are replacing the previous generation. We're gonna be the ones uh
Yeah.
who need to network. I know I can call on a structural engineer. Hey, can you please do drawings for me? Can you do this and that? And if one of your friend is a developer, or was studying real estate, you can call on them whenever. Or if they need a QS, if they need, there's just so
Yeah.
much friendship that can, yeah, because I think that's, if I look at my directors, that they know so many people, but at the end of the day, I think they studied with these people, so
Yes.
it's easy to get work, it's easy to network around, so yeah. And yeah, long-term goal, have a good network
Yeah.
network for whatever I want
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's a beautiful thing. Um, it's one of the cornerstones of my own career aspirations as well, is to also have like a good network, to know people. And because when you know people, um, you are able also to influence people in a good way. The
Mm,
more people that you can network, the more you can influence, and the more influence you also have, because obviously you never know who you might meet. You might meet the
yeah.
director of so, or the decision maker of Infrastructure South Africa, or so and so at
Mm,
ESCOM. You never know who you might build. And one of the things that one of my associates likes to say is, your network is your net worth, or your net worth is your net
yes.
worth.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember which side, but either side.
Either one, I think is true.
It still makes sense. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, my brother, thank you very much for your time. Thank you much for the insights that you've shared today.
Mm,
And I'm sure that there will be people that are interested to ask more questions. I believe that they can still ask questions either on the comment section on the video or on this particular video, or they can reach out to you. I don't know if you are okay with some of the viewers actually following you or connecting with you on LinkedIn, and maybe engaging with you if they have more questions about anything that you've spoken about. I don't know if you're interested in that.
yeah, no, yeah, the details will be there. I can share it with you, and yeah, like I'm keen on networking with, getting to know young professionals as well, and hearing their side of the story, and maybe we can share something from that, learn together in this. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, thank you very much for your time.